The Beef and Barnzy Show, brought to you by Bowlersmart.com, trusted by bowlers around the world since 2004. By Lightning Strikes Bowl, home of Bowlers Mart Pro Shop. By Platinum Ford, drive the difference. By Fire Lake Bowling Center, 24 state-of-the-art lanes. By True Grit Coatings, drive on our passion. By Roll to Grip, king of them all. By 900 Global, striking worldwide.
Good morning and welcome back to the Beef and Barnzy Show. We are back at home after a long holiday weekend of a bunch of tournaments around the country, and I assume our fans, as usual, will fill us in on what happened in places that weren't Texas. But Longview doubles happened this weekend. We had about 4 tournaments here in the Metroplex area on Monday at varying places. So there was a bunch. We had a little beef versus Barnzy squared, I think is what they were calling us last weekend. So had one of those matches going on. There were some pretty interesting things going down. And as usual, I'm joined by bowling personality, internet personality, just all around good guy.
And the dog.
And for those of you looking at the board.
Sorry, go ahead. Sometimes
you're the dog and sometimes you're the hydrant. Yes, B squared was the hydrant. We had some perfect strike put on the live stream for the Longview. We bowled Stu and Anthony in the 3-4 match in the losers bracket, and they had a pretty decent lead going the last game, and we caught up in a couple of frames and looked like we had a pretty good match going. A couple of very, very ugly stone eights. Pulling it, and then I backed it up with a Greek church that ended it, but.
Yeah, it was one of those where I feel like I had the best ball reaction and Anthony had the most fortune, and we happened to be bowling together. So that was a good combination.
Well, you shot 550 the first 2.
Yeah, it didn't hurt.
We were playing 2-on-1, and we actually managed to keep it relatively close. We were 100 over between us to or 100 and whatever 20 over to keep it within 35 or 40.
Mm-hmm.
You hit a little transition, had a split. Anthony had an open early, and we had an early double each. And so, we actually made it within 10 a couple of frames in, and then Anthony proceeded to shoot 196 for 256. And
I rewatched it. It wasn't quite as bad as it seemed in real life. But
he actually, after the one strike for a 4-bagger, he did throw a couple of good ones after that.
He had the
down the stretch.
He had the lucky Brooklyn late on when Ryan had already left the 2 stone eights. So that one was kind of like more just rubbing salt in the wounds.
He had one.
He had
one at the beginning of that 4-bagger too.
I was about to say he had a regular trip 4, which pretty much was happening all weekend, and then he had the 2-handed trip 4, where the 4-pin stands and a pin comes from the wrong side and just knocks it over.
Yeah. Yep.
No, he's special.
Good night. Yeah. Well, yeah, Rambo Ray. He had the good fortune of being Simo's partner.
I don't even think it was that. He had the good fortune of Ray bowled pretty good in a couple of the matches.
Mm-hmm.
And then a couple of the matches when he didn't bowl very well, it wasn't really like Simo saved him. It was more like their opponents saved him. Yeah, Gid, I'm looking at you.
Well, they at least bowled halfway decent, didn't they?
No.
How many matches they shoot 1,100 and win?
No, the match against Gid was 1070 to 1040.
Oh, God.
Yeah. So, yeah. So I figured what we would do is
we have to call Randy's therapist. Right. No, Randy's therapist is busy with Randy full time. That's he doesn't have any other clients. It's
I do feel though, Gid, that like that match was you and Tyler were equally awful with your spare balls. So I don't feel like you were specifically to blame. I think there was enough to go around. His wife coming off the top rope. Brianna. Thanks for the Beef and Barnzy pens.
Yeah. As a matter of fact,
Brianna's Custom Crafts, I believe, is the name of her business.
There you go. Yeah, they make some very cool Barnzy pins. I actually had it in my bag, and so I'm going to bring it in this morning. We'll show it again at a different time. But Brianna's custom pins, yeah, nice Beef and Barnzy logo on it. Very cool looking. I think it's American flag, which I kind of appreciated, but.
I think there was a British flag as well.
Oh, I didn't pay attention to that part.
Okay. I guess Brady's been in here. I did laugh at the pins that she did, the pens she did in Dalton's honor. So they had the Throw It Better pen, and then his favorite at the minute, Wes's Trash. He's quite upset with Malott because Malott doesn't come to Longview anymore. So that was his quote a couple of years ago. I thought Wes was your favorite. Wes is trash.
Wes has lifetime status with Dalton. Don't let him kid you.
I'm just telling you, he was a little up in his feels about it. Wasn't happy. So let's chat a little bit about equipment choices. And how we played the lanes, what we saw, and we can chat. I think the funniest part of the whole deal was our second round matches, not the results, just the conversation that me and you had at the start of that match. So the pattern was 36 feet. It was fairly flat. In general, I feel like the gutter bangs pretty good in Longview. There's a couple of lanes where you can throw it in, but overall, it comes off the gutter pretty good. Me and Anthony were playing on 31 and 32, which historically is a pretty good pair. We both threw Urethane to start with and just focused on controlling the pocket because it's a 3-game match. It's a pretty long time. We did a really good job of that the first game and broke the lanes down to be pretty easy. Shot 500 the second game, and then the third game we kind of experimented and shot like 490. I think you're throwing reactive. Chris and Ryan then followed us on that pair. Kind of similar deal. They bowled pretty good. This is just to give you an idea of what Longview's like. So they don't reel the lanes. So it's 64 teams. So it's one 3-game match, then another 3-game match. That completes the first round of matches. The winners then go and bowl another round. So it's the third match of the night. We go down to 3 and 4. Chris goes down to 1 and 2. And I'm not really paying too much attention to Chris and Ryan. I just see them next to me because they're throwing Urethane. And I've gone from being right around 12 to about 5, throwing a hypercell or a proton physics, pretty slow and rolling it, to now throwing myself after a night road from about 20. And I go to Chris, man, they hook a mile down here, don't they? And Chris just looks at me and says, like, are you out of your mind? Chris goes, this pair is about 10 tighter than the previous pair we just bowled on. I'm like, what? And we both bowled on the same pair. And now we're bowling next to each other. And that, to me, just sums up Longview. There is no chance. Like, Anthony fell into the trap a little bit. Like, he was like, I'm not really sure what to do. They're doing this on that pair. Who cares?
Yeah,
like,
it is a place where the pair next to you could not be more irrelevant. And we did it again later on. We bowled on 11 and 12 already. It was by far the easiest pair hooking it. It was like your pair.
Yeah.
I mean, we played 20. At the end, I was playing 22, 23. That 36-foot pattern was 42. All the hold in the world. Then we bowled on 9 and 10 against Dimitri and those guys. And we'd already bowled on another pair that hooked even more against Lavery in the Sean Lavery. And then we go to this one, and there is nowhere to play left. It just hooks. It looks like a 36-foot pattern. It hooks, and then you move left, and it hooks way more than that. And you go, oh. And we move back and play the gutter on that side. And the difference in scoring pace between 9 and 10 and 11, 12 was probably, I would say, 25 pins per player per game.
Yeah, it's just wild the way it happens like that. I mean, we bowled on was it 23 and 24 we bowled our match on, which is historically usually the toughest pair. Lane 23, basically that pair isn't that tough if you can figure out how to strike on lane 23, because lane 24 is never a problem, really.
That was the best I'd seen that pair ever be. And actually, I thought 23 was easier, which is really weird.
And we lost our first match on that pair like 13-0 to 13-15 or something like that.
Wow. Yeah, most of the time, the first one to 1180 wins on that pair.
And we basically beat the whole building, like that squad. Yeah. And I'm like, how is this? We've just played on the pair that's always the one that's the most challenging. Poor Brandon. He played us, I don't know, round fucking 19, whatever it was. and I bowled 269, change ball front 6 against them. So
I like Brandon.
I was kind of feeling it at that point.
Brandon's got a nice game. He bowled good at the Ironman, the first squad on the long, and then the short, which was as brutal a short as you can bowl on, ate him up a little bit. But he bowled good this weekend, made a deep run, cashed and in the butterfly convention as well. So a pretty solid weekend for their team.
So let's talk about the ball choices a little bit. Right. You and Ryan went with urethane a little bit more than I did. Certainly, I bowled my first match with urethane, and then I didn't really need to use it again. I think that you and Ryan could really you could play off each other a little easier. I know it sounds ridiculous with your skill sets, but you and Ryan could kind of play off each other. Like I saw you much more like you were kind of playing the same part of the lane together.
Yeah, we did do that a lot. And if he was throwing urethane, I tried to stay in it as long as I could, just to try and minimize the effects of the transition. And it worked out okay. You know?
I mean, looking in from the side, I actually thought that you almost had more success with urethane than Ryan did. It looked like, anyway, when we were looking.
He threw it a little hard sometimes, and it could get by it.
And Ryan's pretty good with that kind of beat up reality now.
That's what he uses as basically. He makes it look like urethane with ball speed and roll rotation, just being end over end.
Mm-hmm.
And he throws it so hard that it doesn't overreact. What he did against you guys, match 8 of the day, was it was literally impossible. That was the Iron Man and the Tin Man bowling together against you guys, because I didn't have a lot of gas left in the tank.
Yeah, I mean, I felt like, to be honest, you actually far a couple of shots. I thought you actually bowled better that match, to be honest. Like, you got left of it, which I think was the right thing to do. I was quite happy to see Ryan doing what he was doing, because I felt like if he'd have moved left, it would have created more transition for me, and our team needed me to not have a lot of transition.
Right. Anthony's ball hooked so early that it wouldn't have helped him either. But Ryan's ball didn't actually look great trying to make the corner. It saw the fronts too much. At times it was pretty good, but he had more success staying a little closer to it. And so, and in the end, he made 7 or 8 pretty good shots that last game to make it close.
Oh, 100%. I just like
it was something I couldn't have done.
I think me and you both fall into the category of weighing up which is worse for our opponents as well as what we're doing. Whereas I'm not sure a lot of other people necessarily look at it like that. And maybe if Ryan had been on that train, it would have slowed my reaction down a little quicker, because basically my reaction had gone by the third game.
Yeah, it's basically proactive offense.
Yeah, you're not going to do something.
Do anything that's terrible bar reaction, but if I can have better bar action from a place that might not make yours better, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, thanks, man. You can even get an Ebonite logo on it if you want. Check it out.
I've seen it in a few places, as a matter of fact.
Coolwick.com. Beef stew 10% off. I'd appreciate it. This design's obviously a little better, not necessarily the pink and blue, but just in general, because I've actually seen some of these, to quote my friend Jared, out in the real world. So it's amazing how many times he uses that phrase with talking about cameras, out in the real world. So out in the real world, the balls that I used this weekend were, and the live stream picture in there wasn't good enough for me. I could lie here, but I'm not going to, because, we're keeping it 100 for you guys. I used the pitch black for one match. I used the hypercell. I used the night road. I used the infinite physics. And then the last match, there was one pair that was making the balls really dirty. And for the last match, I went out to my truck. Oh, and of course, I used a UFO alert as well, and a bit of a proton physics. Kind of. I didn't use those that much, but the UFO alert I actually used in a match, and it was good. Whereas the proton physics, I was really just using it because I didn't want to keep using the hypercell. I went out to my truck and I brought back in the reality strike, the old reality check, because it was clean. And Anthony says to me, Lavery, he says, why are you using that one? You used the UFO alert on this last pair. And I said, because it's clean. And he said, the UFO alert's pretty clean. I went, no, I mean not dirty. And he just started laughing. He's like, oh. And then I had the front six. He goes, you got so many more options to choose from than I do. So yeah, it was a fun time. I basically just realized that I need to figure out why I don't have a dark code in my life, because right now the REX cover is literally the greatest thing ever as far as I'm concerned. I'm on Rex for life. So infinite physics is maybe my favorite. I think we've gone over that a few times. And and now this night road seems to be a really good option down from it. So yeah. That was my balls. What about you, Chris? What did you go through?
We followed you on that very first pair, and I threw a pitch black for a little bit, and then I went to a Supernova, which has been the surprise for me. Is that ball is a little cleaner for me than the reality, and it's an older. It's got a high traffic center, and
I have actually shot 850 with one as well, and I still don't have it in my bag.
Yeah. So I used Supernova for a while. I cycled through a few balls. We were on current, and so, which Boy Wonder, my partner there, he doesn't see the front. He's not worried about when they hook a little early. But I had to ball down pretty quick. I tried a Shiny Nova, which I've used a little bit, but I pretty quickly kind of skipped over about everything in the middle and went down to like X2, Wolverine, and the Night Road. And for those reviewers that say the Night Road doesn't hook, what?
Au contraire, mon frère.
I mean, I guess not everyone has 52-year-old hand like I do, but and a thumb to hook it. But it hooks plenty. And so as far as a newer, probably better environmentally to the current environment, high road pearl, those kind of type balls, I think they hit on this one. And
I'm really surprised. Me and you have been fairly critical of 4K fast overall, but for me personally, I think it actually matches up pretty well on that ball. I know you changed yours, but like for me, I
changed it, but I did change it back.
Right. Okay.
Basically, it's got 3,000 by hand, so it's very. Yeah.
And this is kind of what we're talking about. It says Rex on the dark code doesn't seem the same as the Infinite and the Night Road, and I think that's just because Infinite is 4K, is 4,000, and the Night Road is 4K fast, and maybe that's where I'm going wrong with the dark code. Maybe having a little less shine on it, and like just trying to get it a little. However, I won't be able to find a 4K fast one now because that ball's going to be Reactor Gloss. Yeah, that's the name. Reactor Gloss. I have a call into head office to figure out so we can do a breakdown of what that really means. We will probably do a product show on Thursday. I think that's probably when we're going to do it. And I'll have some information on Reactor Gloss for you guys so we can kind of break down what that means, where we think that's going to fit in the bag, etc., etc. I don't know what to tell you, Chief. Maybe you don't know what your PAP is. Because
I don't know who is coming out, because the last 4 reviews I've seen of the Night Road, and I can 100% attest to mine. I do my, I'm an old guy that throws it straight by pretty much everybody's estimation now. I'm not trying to trick that ball, and it's hooking plenty. I was sliding 34, basically throwing it at 5 in the gutter last night, and rolling it so it didn't overhook off of it on the new Louisville house pattern, which is considerably more hooked than usual at that place. But
I think he's talking about the Supernova.
Yeah, it's a little cleaner than the reality, though. I think Adam up above asked about Supernova instead of reality. I think they can be pretty complementary. It's always the reality's been so good. It's kind of like something instead of a phase 2. It's hard to say that you would not take a phase 2 over something else, but over time. But love the fans. I like the people that watch the show.
Larry said he likes Linda's ball review. You got to check out the Night Road video to see that.
If you could tell the people that watch to the end. She does amazing ball reviews. It's good. But yeah, I think it's if you have one of those that looks really slow, I guess maybe I would go over, with a spinner with like a 3,000 or 4,000 pad. You might have got one that's a little chalky. That's the only thing I can really think of.
Are we talking about the Night Road?
The Night Road.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I've jumped around here a little bit. Good morning, guys. With urethane being used so much, do you think Storm will design a urethane with a physics core?
I don't have any input in the design. I just wouldn't throw that. The thing is the good urethanes. I think we can pretty much agree that the best 2 urethanes on the market at the minute are the Purple Hammer and the Pitch Black, both of which have relatively tiny cores in them.
Yeah.
I think some of the worst urethanes that have been on the market have gigantic cores in them. Pink Widow, I'm looking at you. Hot Cell, I'm looking at you. They just weren't particularly useful because urethane hooks early and locks up, and all you're doing is making it hook earlier and lock up more.
Yeah, it doesn't continue.
Yeah, it just doesn't like I say, the Purple Hammer has a tiny core, and so does the Pitch Black. Realistically, So
if you turn the clock back to the 90s, which is before most of you were good bowlers yet, the Phantom, the urethane balls that had big cores in them weren't good. The Omegas basically plagiarized the Phantom cores at the time and put a clock on them, so you had some idea how to drill them. But
I really want Brunswick to bring that back.
But they had a reactive cover on it, and it was infinitely better than the Phantoms were with urethane covers. So
the Omega was one of my favorites.
The blue or the black? The black was pretty good.
Yeah, that it was at the LM. I think it was at LM, the black one. Yeah. I like the blue one, and then the black one was probably my first like strong ball. First high end ball. They're bringing back all the other ones that like iconic color wise and everything. They've brought back what is it, like the one this week and the CUDA, and I'm just like, we need that light blue Omega going down the lane with that ridiculous clock drill thing.
Yep, the Omega.
Can you imagine trying to explain to pro shop operators what to do with that thing now? Oh my god.
Oh, I mean, it was easy because you just drilled an A up or E up.
Yeah.
Which brings an interesting question. So basically, you're flipping the mass bias upside down because nobody marked the mass bias.
Yeah.
So if you put the mass bias, A rolled good and E also rolled good. So the mass bias was literally up on the other end, which I see nobody doing now, even though literally 30 years ago, 25,
yeah,
we were doing that. And we know it rolled good because everybody did it.
This might be your next thing. Can you imagine? You just come out with a reality drilled upside down. You just ball them. How many would get drilled? That would be the ultimate donk.
I'm going to put now you can do it because the CG can be, basically
pretty much anywhere.
Yeah, I can put the pin running underneath my bridge, the CG above it, and the mass bias somewhere in outer space. On my variable axis line.
I mean, I'd love you to do that with a ball, crush them, and then get a call from Hank, and Hank's like, I'd really rather you hadn't done that, Chris. Now I've got all these conversations. He goes, your talent allowed that to work. It had not a fucking thing to do with that stupid layout you put in it, you asshole. Now we have people requesting low tops in realities, upside down layouts, wanting to know what that should be from their PAP.
Well, it's time to retire, any false credit given to the Rico layout, and we're just going to make this one the Barnzy layout.
It's like you've hung out too much with our friend Don.
Don, yeah, effing Don. He must be back from the SS Minnow.
Well, of course they're not. They'd go literally dead straight if they were.
Yeah,
and in the case of the CUDA, nobody would be able to drill it because everybody uses an it or a switch grip now, and all you'd hear is dunk as you hit the center core.
As you ruin drill bits one after the next.
I don't really have an average speed. Because
you have a wide range, but I guess if you were in
if I was in my ultimate happy place, I'd be throwing it about 13 miles an hour. But like realistically, I guess probably if I was bowling a house shot, I'm probably going to be throwing it 18 miles an hour, 420 maybe, and no idea until none. Because
I think you're a little higher than you think. But because my average speed back when we did the Team USA thing, if I was doing a relatively normal speed, it was like 19 to
low. I mean, 19. I don't, like I say, I don't spend that much time on like Specto and things like that. So.
Right, and that's the only time
you can never figure out what your ball speed is off the hand.
Yeah, exactly. Like that, so. And the stuff up above is, well, one, it's not particularly accurate, and two, it's at 45 feet. So if you throw it to friction, it reads half a mile hour slower than if you play the shim to, I mean.
And if you hook it, are supposed to throw it straight.
Yeah. It slows down approximately 2.5 to 3 miles per hour by the time it gets to that camera. So if you add 2.5 to whatever you see up there, that's close to your off your hand speed.
Not if you want to throw a coup de C, it isn't. Or a pulse, or a
I drilled a pulse back in the day.
DCT had the same issue, didn't it?
Yeah, DCT also had it. So
I need a 14
Yeah.
That's that. Hey, Brian, that's what they make quarter scales for.
Yeah. The freight train. I never even threw that ball. I mean, Steve Jarls might have thrown that ball. That's
the best thing about that ball was the name.
Yeah.
League started last week, and I had a rough time actually hitting my marks. Any advice on how to reset? Basically, what's going to happen is if you don't touch a ball for like 3 or 4 months, it's going to suck for a couple of weeks because A, your ball doesn't fit. B, I mean, I had 3 days off, and I still had to practice at Longview because it felt like my fingers didn't fit in the holes because they were so tiny. I managed to rip my knuckle open because I put tape in the back so I could hold on to it. Yeah, I mean, it's a train wreck. So that's like, this is one thing I'd like to point out to people. Sandbagging obviously exists, right? There's always going to be people who cheat, right? There just is. That's just the way life is, right? However, it isn't anywhere near as many people as you think it is. Most of the people who you accuse of cheating just don't bowl all summer. So then, of course, they suck for like 5 or 6 weeks in league because their ball doesn't fit and they haven't touched the ball in months. And then, yeah, no shit, their average is low and they bowl better in the second quarter. Like, that isn't really sandbagging. That's just what happens. Like, yeah, it's frustrating if you bowl all the time, all the way through the summer. But that's just, there's way less people sandbagging than people think there is.
Yeah, well, and then there's obviously professional ones. The sandbags are pretty easy to identify. If they get a lot of pins and they're in all the brackets, they're sandbaggers.
Yeah.
That's
what if you go up and won all of the handicap brackets, you know that you've
or the handicap's off 215 and you're averaging 230.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only two. And I've said this a few times. I am surprisingly a pretty big fan of this, and I've thrown it enough over the last 2 weeks that it's starting to get lane shined, and I'm starting to like even more because it separates more from the reality. And the reality can handle a little bit more oil maybe than this ball can, but that means the Supernova comes off that friction a little bit more. And so, how do I stay up the back of the ball and still get a bit under it at 50? It's really about upper body position. If you're too far forward, it's awfully hard to stay up the back of it. And so it's about being more upright, keeping the shoulder back, not letting it roll out in front of your ear. If you can do that, anytime I want to be up the back of it, you'll notice I'm really trying to stay taller all the way through so my elbow can stay in and I can go up the back.
If he's trying to hook it, you'll see him fall off balance as his elbow gets in front of his wrist.
It does occasionally. Not on purpose, but yeah, there's a few of them. Yes, we are talking about that Greek church against you. That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
So,
looks like you like to get the ball and get on with it. Yeah, to be honest, over time, I've never really found that anything positive happens if you stand there for a long time. The only thing that enters your head is negative thoughts and the older you get, the more experience you've got of negative things. It was like me talking to Chris about, whether you should go anchor or not and talking about scar tissue. And Ryan's like, what's that?
Yeah.
Couldn't have been a more perfect conversation. The two old guys talking about it. Ryan's like, what are you talking about? You'll understand. Give me a call in 15 years.
Yeah. Yeah, the fact is, no matter what perceptions lay out there, if you're pretty good, if you strike on 2/3 of the shot on a regular basis, let's say if you can succeed at that same rate, you're having a pretty good go at it, which still means 1 out of 3 it doesn't go right. Well, you tend to remember those ones way more than you remember the other twos for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got to step out for just a second.
Okay, no worries. Yeah, Chris Viali is running a East Coast Megabucks event. So check that out, bowlingmegabucks.com. Stu spitting facts always. You make it sound like that's a unique thing.
You get our brand of the truth.
I mean, I bowl once a week during the summer and still suck. Well, can't help you there. Dan, that sounds like that's a good theory, but that doesn't help in the slightest, because the way the leagues bowl here in Texas and it was in Arizona is they slice the league up into like thirds or quarters. So keeping the averages for 21 games doesn't really make any difference. These teams suck the first quarter, and then their averages kick in, and then they bowl better in the second quarter. So whether you kept it for 3 games or 21 games, it wouldn't make any difference. Kenny says, love it, Kenny. How are you doing, mate? Hey, do a ball review. You might be able to get some of it back. This is a Barnes question. I don't really have any of them.
Basically, if you're a lower ball speed or really forward, to where you struggle being able to keep the ball in front of you on tougher patterns, maybe some higher wet dry stuff. You what?
Bad lane surfaces.
Bad lane surfaces, maybe real big cliffs with soft ball speed. That's where low diffs.
2 places I've seen them work quite well is Indy. The IQ Tour rolls really good in Indy. A couple of times we bowled there. And Gold Coast.
Yeah. 2 places that hook a ton in the front.
Yeah.
Without the ability to really throw it way right. So you kind of have to keep your angles a little closer together. That's basically what comes into play.
I really don't want to be an asshole. Oh, sorry. I am being an asshole because I can't understand what you meant. You were talking about what's a good ball for the Badger pattern. Sorry. There's a bowling ball called the Badger. So that's why I was like,
yeah,
I just rephrase this in English and I'll help. But like you did phrase it in English. I just didn't understand. For me, I like the stronger balls. It depends on the lane surface, but for me, it would be an asymmetrical ball. If the lane surface is good, like somewhere like we bowled on it a couple of times in Shawnee, I've used whatever the really strong Storm Roto ball was at the time. So I've had success there with the proton physics. I've had success there with the UFO. I've also had success with the Hypercell. If you play in some of the places that aren't so good lane surface wise, all I do then is just ball down to the slightly cleaner cover. So right now that would be Infinite Physics, UFO Alert, Altered Reality, Reality Check.
And then keep your speed slow.
And keep the ball. You're looking for hold on that pattern. You're never going to get hook. The worst thing you can possibly find on that pattern is hook, because then your ball just gets offline and then you try to play it and you're dead. To give you an idea, Haugen's better on that pattern than Belmo is.
Yeah, and yeah, exactly.
So hook isn't what you're trying to achieve on Badger. Okay, good.
It doesn't mean he beats Belmo on that pattern, but he is more.
Well, when Haugen bowled on tour, I'm saying he made the show a couple of times on that pattern, and then we bowled the World Series one year, and he beat Martin in the final, and we were basically bowling on Badger. They just called it Scorpion, I think. I'm sure we will at some point, but not. I'm only going to come over to Europe to see my parents for Christmas. How often do you guys clean your equipment, and what else do you use to make them last longer? Seems like balls aren't lasting as long anymore for the price. We have some ball cleaners that are pretty good. I forget the name of the foam one. Let me just find it because I've actually been using that a little bit recently. I just want to remember the name so I can direct you. Reactor foam. That's what it's called. I've used that quite a bit recently. I know that you've used. Have you used Reactor Clean a little bit?
Reactor Clean that's really the only one I have. I don't use it a lot. I don't use a lot of anything particularly. I mean, I do try and keep like after weekends like last, we had the one lane where the curtain that was just leaving marks on a lot of stuff. So I had to clean it up a little bit. But in general, I don't like once they're good, like I did with surfaces. I don't change surfaces a lot other than to get them back to 500 or 1,000. I don't do a lot of get them lined up and where they fit. And if they don't work that day, I just go to the one that's slotted up and below more than. And as far as other things, and we've talked about it a little bit on this show, but the Immortalizer is a fairly well thought out and researched product that it's space age bags. Ryan still uses them on everything, and he does have some balls that have hundreds and hundreds of games on them. That reality that he was throwing last week is one of them.
Thanks, man.
I'm hearing of rumors of a slap fight on Twitter between Lucas and Jeff Riggles. And so if I'm a little distracted, I'm trying to find it real quick.
Yeah, basically the Jeff Riggles said something along the lines of, I can't believe I waited this long to drill a reality. The ball's awesome. And Lucas Wiseman's response was, there he is, Boland's only independent journalist, whatever he wrote, whatever Jeff's catchphrases he used about him. He says, funny that, do you drill balls from any other companies? And then Big Mike posted the picture of Kermit the Frog drinking the cup of tea.
I just found something that Lucas had says. It's basically, if you're getting paid by a company, you can't really show yourself as an independent journalist, is what he was trying to say, I think. And,
yeah. So does that mean because he's getting paid by Flow?
Well, let's not get too far down the hypocrisy line. So, yeah, I think, you can still be in it. There's guys that are honest about reviews, and I think that's where we land on some things, and we've had some games. Well, you watch the Supernova, you see what you see.
I think the other point is you have to always take these reviews with a pinch of salt. Like, I'm not going to go on and tell you this ball stinks. Like, that's just not going to happen. Like, I might explain to you where you could use it. And if you don't want to use it in that gap, or if that gap contradicts what it's been advertised as, then you choose to use it how you see fit. But like, there's basically almost all the balls, you can use them in a certain spot. The problem comes with a lot of the balls is company A says it fits in gap X, but it really fits in gap Z. That's a lot of the time where the disconnect comes. Like, you think the ball's going to do this and it does this. Well, that's the whole point. Everybody go, well, you guys get the balls early. That's such an advantage.
Well, it is, as long as the marketing matches up with the reality. Yeah. And the difference is, and that's why you watch the ball reviews, because we're going to tell you that, well, okay, it's supposed to be this, but really it fits way better in this spot. And we know because we probably had to drill a couple of them to make it fit in a different spot. And then you figure out, for me, the reality check is not the ball off the reality that you would expect it to be. The infinite physics turns out is that ball for me.
Yeah.
Now the reality check's still good. Turns out it fits way more as a replacement for UFO alert for me. It's just a different shape. So
this is a ball that me and Chris haven't really touched. I saw one guy using it this weekend. But yeah, I think it might be one that Chris should probably consider because Chris kind of like the PBR and it's probably going to fit in a kind of somewhat similar spot. The Hustle USA.
they're showing up this week.
So you did order it. Okay.
Yeah, I did because it does make sense actually as a ball in a shape that I do kind of like, as well as Ryan, for different reasons. I'm looking for that control thing that people were talking about earlier, why I would throw a low diff ball, because I want to be able to play 15 to 10 and keep it 15 to 10, whereas Infinite Physics, it just wants to hook more than that. And Ryan has basically balls that just are smoother, give him keep it in front of him. So,
yeah, they're the scumbags. The teams that win the first half and then bowl like complete turds. I just don't even understand it. I don't like bowling bad, so I just couldn't imagine like bowling bad for that long to like just so you do well in the roll off. It's like, who cares? Like, it's not enough money to like. Why would you want to be miserable for that many weeks? This is also why running side action and brackets in league is actually a good thing.
Costs you money to.
Well, you don't have to enter, but at least it encourages the teams who have already made it and don't really have anything to benefit in the second half to continue to bowl good because there is stuff they can make each week. So there is a positive sometimes to the eliminator or the extra jackpots, as people call them. Yeah, you know how to stay up the back of the ball, Barnzy. Storm don't really need to bring back old balls, though. Like, really, you bring back old balls because you get that initial surge.
Yeah, it's because you're not making new ones that people want.
Yeah.
Trey, our host from Longview.
That steak. Whew. I had mine. I have no idea how you kept it warm for that long and it not get dry. I imagine you had some kind of fun warmer or whatever, but that was magic. At 4 a.m. when I finally got back to the hotel room after they canceled it, I had to get them to reissue it.
Oh, you had the same thing. Yeah. Bill Lewis is the guy that makes those steaks. It's yikes. That's top notch. Trey did a fantastic job. That's a tough tournament to run. You basically bowl for 30 out of 24 out of 30 hours and kept the place running and the customer's happy. And there were still people in there having cold ones at the end. Well, I guess not at the very end because we had last call, but
yeah.
Let's see. Current benchmark or first ball out. That's at least for me, that's two different questions. But for tournaments, first ball in my bag is my earliest rolling one.
He means which one do you throw first?
Yeah,
that's still the earliest rolling one for you.
Yeah, especially on patterns. Now, when you go bowl in leagues and stuff like that, it's still going to be the earliest ones of what I have. It's just not going to be a gem or a reality. It's going to be something that's considered less. But the benchmark ball, which is a different question, is kind of that phase 2 Zen Soul. Those are the kind of the three that I think are the best fits.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I like the Infinite Physics because it seems to match up on everything.
It does real good on a lot of stuff.
And then, probably phase 2 still.
This is definitely a Stu question. Ball recommendation for rev dominant, 500 RPMs, 15 to 16 miles an hour for Mel's house shot. 15 to 16. I'm assuming that's off the monitor up above, which still puts you around 18.
So,
yeah, definitely.
Here's the deal. We need to find out when we get back because I know that a few things have changed and I don't know that there's a right answer to that right now. So send me a message after tonight because I'm bowling tonight. But I've seen that the dart code rolls really well there in the past. I think that's probably going to be a bit too angular for you. I would think something along the lines of an IQ Tour might be a good option with that much revs. But yeah.
Going to two-handed, higher revs, and looking for something lighter oil. Hyro Pearl, I think that's going to be too much ball down lane.
Yeah.
Unless you're really up the back of it, you're going to look at hyped Pearl, Hustle, Camo, some
burner,
of the
maybe
the burner line a little bit. Those kind of balls will give you a little more control without quite the violent shape in the back.
The infinite physics is way cleaner for me.
Yeah.
More angular on the back. Like I say, for me, I look at it like the infinite physics is like a 6-iron. Like you could use it a lot, whereas the Supernova is like a driver or a 3-wood. I just feel like the infinite physics is like an all-round ball that you could use a lot of different things, whereas the Supernova is more of a specific fit ball.
Yeah, medium heavier oil ball for sure.
Yeah. Like for me, I use the infinite physics late on in the matches, threw it really hard and went up the back of it to keep it dead on line. And it would still like actually recover a little bit down the lane. Mm-hmm. For me personally, I would have zero chance of being able to do that with a Supernova because it would just blow up and then go dead straight.
Yeah, it would go hook in the front. You can put an infinite physics and put surface on it and it will still be cleaner and more responsive than a Supernova too.
Yeah.
And that's the difference between REX and NEX. NEX is just it's an earlier, stronger cover.
Yeah.
So Dan said there's no way to teach correct. Well, I mean, that's subjective, I guess. And I don't know who teaches the 5 motion sequences, so I'm not familiar with that one. But that's not a bad one. You can't drop more than 10 pins. I think you have to make it relative to, because places change house shots occasionally. And if the league drops, you can't drop more than 10 pins than what the league drops at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Guten Tag. Wie geht's? My team went 5 beer frames just to buy. Okay. Bad break. Hey, Chris. No.
It's not actually. And we've seen a lot less of it. And maybe that's pattern driven on the tour. But there's just a lot of good balls in the middle right now.
No, I think that Mel's have always been changing the house shot, and they don't. It's different year to year, so we'll see. I actually went in there and I was fairly underwhelmed. Not that much had changed. I thought that they were going to have a big change, but not really. I think most of the big changes that have occurred are things that, as a customer, you don't see. The kitchen got completely ripped out. Of course, we don't see the kitchen. The point of sales, they had to run a lot of cables, put in their own point of sale systems. Again, not really something as a customer you'll see. Kind of a little sad. I guess maybe a vanity project a little bit, but they had signed shirts up in the bar framed, and they've taken all of those down, but they didn't really do anything with that space, to the point at which they still left the hangers in the wall. They just took the shirts off the wall, and then they haven't changed the name of the place. It's still Mel's Lone Star Lanes by Bolero. So the fact that all of the autographs were made out to Mel's didn't really matter. You were still called Mel's. So that was a bit odd. I thought they were going to have done more, but I guess in a week they kind of really just focused on getting their main point of sale systems in there and stuff. So we'll see. I'm sure that things will evolve as it goes, but I was definitely expecting a little more change. I was also a little gutted because I thought that they were going to get the Bolero video wall, which I think is the coolest thing in the world, where they change the masking units to like the blank things.
Yeah.
And then they put up the things. So on Sundays, you can go in and they can have the Sunday ticket on. You can watch every game.
Nice.
So if you bowl in Christown in Phoenix, which is one of the places that I first saw it, we were bowling and like it kind of sucks a little bit because the reflections from the TVs on the lanes is a little hard to get used to. And somebody complained, and then everybody in the tournament's like, "What are you doing? I want to watch the Patriots game. I want to watch the Cardinals game, and I'm watching the Cowboys game. Put them all back on." The fact that it's a little harder to shoot spares is irrelevant. I want to watch the NFL. So it is kind of cool when you've got like these massive like screens, and sometimes they go across two pairs or maybe just one, but it's like got like all the games on. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, the setup at Spectrum, which is it's not Bolero, but where we bowled the stop in Grand Rapids, the place, those boards were amazing. They were really cool. And same thing, 4 lanes across, and they were super tall too. They were you could watch about anything you wanted there. The difference between astrophysics and Money Badger Emerald Green, and what do you think about the Ordnance C4? I think they're all discontinued. But the astrophysics is the strongest of them. The Ordnance C4 is a weaker, little more responsive version of an IQ Tour. And the Money Badger Emerald Green in 15 is a little weaker version of High Road. It's actually upside down. They turned the weight block upside down on that one, so it was a little earlier than the other Badgers.
See, they were already doing your layout just with the weight block.
Yeah. Next level. San Antonio guys, they had it together. You didn't know.
I'm telling you, we're going to get a phone call like, why are you saying this shit? That is completely meaningless in regards to that layout.
Alex Hoskins will be calling me soon. I'm gonna get that.
Hey, assholes, just shut up when you don't know anything about what you're talking about.
House shot killers. I think Stu's been pretty consistent on this. The infinite physics is the house shot / tournament shot /
Hello. You like I say, in the place where you've been bowling, that Night Road gave you a pretty nice. I mean, you bowled a pretty good game in that like one game deal.
I used it a lot last night in the Louisville sweeper too. When I finally got some score, that's what I got it with. The Shiny Nova has been a house shot killer too, which is it's a sleeper, but
it depends how you like it. I like to use asymmetrical balls because if I'm going to do anything on a house shot, I'm probably going to leave the 2-pin a lot. So having an asymmetrical ball, a bit more engine, when I get it in the oil, it's got more chance. So
that's what Shiny Nova blends off all that stuff. And Ryan put me on that one. And for him to like it and me to like it, it's like I said, very different skill sets. And so it is pretty good on the cliff.
Oh, 100%.
Yes.
The infinite physics is earlier than the. I think we're getting a dirt delivery.
No, haven't seen the Fate yet.
I haven't even seen one. Never mind throwing one.
Yeah, I've just seen a picture. Ring finger span is too short. Well, I guess mine was for it. Maybe still is. I don't know. It's supposed to make you actually have more rotation.
Yeah.
And not necessarily lower your rev rate, but it will make you come around the ball more.
It really depends which implementation they go with because it varies drastically. Some of the strings play really easy, and then you get Calderon strings, and it almost brings like integrity back to the game. Like so, it's very difficult. That's awesome, Trey.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, I think that's a huge selling point for people just going out for a night out and stuff.
I mean, once upon a time, it was the automatic scoring, and then the graphics was supposed to do something. I think this, more than anything else, to the general public, is the big seller because now you can watch TV and do all the stuff they want to do all the time anyway.
Could well be, yeah.
If your place has a little to begin with, and then it breaks down, and you're getting deeper than you want to be, or your ball's losing energy for sure. Bowling and football, what could be better? Dark code kills. Did you see Luke Rosedal's Night Road review? I did not. Did you?
No.
Well, and if I get done with my X1, maybe I'll look at an Infinite. That's probably a very good.
Yeah, I feel like that's the obvious
That's exactly
replacement.
where you put it, right? And you crushed them with that X1 for about a year.
Yeah.
I think that's probably a good move unless your place is really, really slick or you're pretty speed dominant. A little shine on that ball would go a long way. Chester Copperpot. I like the name. Thank you. No, I put polish over the box surface. I left the lines in underneath it, so it's still hooking the puddle. So, does it feel weird to throw a Belmo ball? Or does it matter? If they strike, they strike. That's all we care. And Trey,
almost my buddy. I don't care if he's got his logo on it.
No.
It's even funnier when I beat him with it because he's actually in a good mood about it. He's not as salty if I beat him with that one.
Is there a procedure when a ball is 4K? You want to go to 1500 polish? Take a 1500 pad on slow. Hit it with that. Follow it up with polish.
Yeah,
fast.
Yeah, I've done like 1,000 when I've done it, but yeah, it's.
Did Ryan do in-person sessions? I think everything's actually been on video with him, and he did a long time ago, but that was back when he was one-handed. So, almost everything he's done has been two-handed, and he's had a tremendous impact on his physical game as it goes.
Being up all night.
Yeah. Getting enough sleep ahead of time, and then having putting an arsenal together that can kind of prepare you for everything, because you're going to see everything, 8 to 10 balls that cover a wide range of stuff. They'll be lucky to cover the ball, let alone the spread. So,
no, not got anything coming up this weekend. The weekend after, there's some stuff, I think. And then there's a regional in Oklahoma City in 2 weeks.
I'm going to give X3 one more chance. React to Shine works.
Okay.
Well, if 1500 polish it's actually, it's not 1,000. It's more like 360 than 1500 but
I've been taking the 4K fastballs and hitting them with a older 500 pad and then putting shine on them. So
yeah, old 500, new 1,000.
The fact of the matter is, you ain't gonna make them like a $30,000 or $50,000 polishing machine. That just isn't gonna happen. So it's all a guess anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. Getting infinite physics, he's going to set the sofa up. Okay. It depends if I'm driving. If I'm driving, all of them.
Yeah, we bowled tournaments in the World Bowling Tour, and you could take 6. And so a lot of what I do with Baker, when we do clinics and those kind of things, is a 6-ball arsenal that I can cover basically anything I'm going to see. And it's based off of experiences and a lot of mistakes of traveling around the world and getting caught with my pants down and not having an option to let me really compete. And so I carried that forward. And I think Stu, to some extent, does this kind of the same thing. You have a core arsenal of balls that goes in every week, and then you fill in, well, the bottom end is out this week where we got a lot of oil. So you fit in more balls around his.
But when I'm driving, I just don't see the point of leaving any behind. No soldier gets left behind.
Yeah, I think by the time we get to the end of the swings, once I get to 18, or so, maybe 20, and then I'll have 5 or 6 that are very with a urethane or 2-inch pin, or used to be Rico layouts. There's stuff that's kind of nichey, very nichey layout stuff. It's tough to get past that.
I think that Chris finds it harder to just throw one away and redrill the same one, whereas I don't really have that much issue with that. Like I'll have one, and once it starts to lose the performance I want it to be, and you've got to understand when you're bowling the PBA, that like small difference, like, I mean, I've got 2 infinite physics that I've drilled and I've gone back and forth between them. Like I thought one had lost a little bit of performance, but now I'm using that one again. Like you don't really notice the difference that much, but when you're playing at that highest level, like that real small, like if the performance degrades at all, like you really notice that in those times that matter, or I feel like I do. So like Belmo and Simo drill like new balls every week, basically.
Yeah, they do a lot. Pete used to do a lot of the same thing.
So it's just different. I bowl league twice a week, and I am a paid member.
I sub. We have a Monday night league that's pretty good with a bunch of tour guys that bowl in it. That's the league I sub in when I'm home, but I'm only home on Mondays, maybe 10 weeks a year, so it doesn't make any sense.
I just enjoy the camaraderie of bowling league, going down there, having fun with the guys, and you meet a lot of interesting people bowling league, and it's also a good way to network, to find guys who can help you with things around your house.
I don't believe we've seen the commercial version of React to Gloss yet, so
I saw the introduction, and Alex also dropping a ball that nobody knew what it was, so that was fun. Burner Hybrid coming to a Beef and Barnzy video near you sometime before the end of the year.
It was ironic that, as it is my brand, that was the first I'd ever heard of it.
I've got an even better one. My dad was talking about that video, and I said, yeah, Alex just dropped in that ball. He goes, oh, yeah, we've had those for weeks. In Europe, I was like, oh, okay. He goes, I was going to ask you about it. I guess I hadn't thought about it, about what I thought about it or whatever. I go, oh, never even heard of it.
The one thing I've learned in the last couple of weeks with your dad being around is that he's almost as much of a ball whore as you are.
Well, he runs a shop.
Yeah.
So he goes with the theory of if I can sell 2, I can drill one.
I think these 2 balls are actually best left separate. Yeah. The Phase 2 with surface and the Zen with shine, I believe, play off each other better than.
Yeah. Ironically, I've had Phase 2 shiny and I've had Zen's dull. And if I was to pick one of those 2 to do the wrong surface with, I think I would probably have the Zen dull. But like you're saying, I think that the best combination is a dull Phase 2 and a shiny Zen.
Yeah. The one thing, despite the phone call that we're going to receive from Hank and Alex later on today, is that these guys are really good at getting that, I'm going to leave an asterisk with 4K fast because I'm not sure that was their choice, but generally with shiny balls and dull balls and getting those surfaces and doing enough testing that the commercial thing in the box is actually like Supernova is 2000 instead of some of them have been way more. And I think that's going to end up being a more popular finish because it makes it a little bit cleaner and it leaves it in play on more stuff. So
using our favorite phrase, to be fair,
I
do think that some of the balls that they specifically designed for 4K fast have looked better than some of the balls that were React to Shine that became 4K fast. Now, some of that might be that 1500 polish was better than both, and you just never saw the other one. I don't know. I'm just saying that, like, for me, the Night Road specifically looks really good in that. I think that I'm probably now, having had some success with that, I'm going to drill a dark moss and leave it in the 1500. And so the 4K fast, rather than trying to create my own 1500 polish and see where that fits off the night road. Because it was nice having a ball back in that. I know what you're laughing at. Yeah, he's still back.
Yeah. X2, I saw a ball video and it looks like it's very good. That's my clean big core. When I get through the front, but needs.
I think this is actually a different ball. I think the X2 squad is actually.
I don't know that one. Okay.
I think it's an overseas ball.
Okay. Yes.
Crossroads.
He's going to say Crux something or the other. One of those Alpha Crux, that poop colored thing that he had, white.
Crux Pearl.
There you go.
But no, for me specific, I mean, Chris loved the DCT and virtually nobody else threw that.
No one. And the EPX before that.
Yeah. But mine was probably the Crossroad. Victory Road Solid was pretty good for me as well. I would constantly fry Wes out a lot by using those two balls. He'd be like, I really don't mind that much losing, but losing to those fucking balls. So me and Wes used to laugh that we could almost share a staff contract because we could literally go on the truck together and be like, no. And he'd go, yes. And I'd go, yes. And he'd go, no. And go back and forth over almost every ball on the truck. So when we both found like the phase 2 that we both liked, we just looked at each other like Spider-Man, like that meme.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was another one that I liked that nobody else liked. Yeah. The Torrent, which was really just the Victory Road Solid, same color, same core, same cover. It actually wasn't the same core, to be fair, but it was really close. So.
Well,
all right.
I have to head down to our friends at Platinum Ford today. So,
come on, Platinum Ford. Give Chris the clown card. I'm not even sure the streets by your house are big enough to park that thing.
Probably not. Us poor folk, we don't have that frontage. So
yeah, not like you used to.
No, not so much. Not so much.
Could have parked on the basketball court before.
Well, there you go. Well, join us Thursday as we come back at you again.
All right. So, yes, to my chagrin, it was very much in play this weekend. Trey Sledge absolutely ripped me a new arsehole using it. He bowled 773.
Oh, my God.
And he struck 4 days with that. He struck so much that I think he actually put his partner under pressure because his partner spent the whole match going, please don't fuck this up. Please don't fuck this up. And Scotty Pope, who's a pretty good bowler and a really good dude, did manage to fuck it up for him. Like, sorry, Scotty, there's no real way of getting around it. He couldn't. And I've been in that position bowling with someone who's bowling really well. And you spend your whole time going, just don't screw this up. And there's no positive that ever comes from it. And no matter how much you convince yourself, just bowl like you normally would. When the guy in your lane bowls 289 and you bowl 137, it kind of sucks. Like, you just can't stop doing it. So, yeah. So anyway, just shout out to Trey for that amazing set. That might have been the highest set. That has to be the highest set of the weekend. I'm
not really spending money. I just, I have 172,000 miles on my Explorer, so it's just time to get a little maintenance done. So, yeah, I'm not necessarily trading it in for anything. So they just do loaner cars. So, too much into ball. I mean, I think you need to pay attention. If you watch the same guys over, like we'll do ball reviews in the same place. And we try and do some comparison things so that you don't have just oh, wow, look, it goes to the right and it hooks back. We try and talk about where they fit. If you're just watching balls go down strike without any context, I think it's a little hard to get much information out of them. But
all right, Sorry about that. I just had to give out a shout
No
out
worries.
to Trace Ledge for 770. That was a lot.
We'll be back Thursday. Please support the sponsors that support us when you have a chance. Storm, Rotogrip, Niner Global, Coolwick, Bowler's Mark, Pinnacle GPS, Fire Lake Bowling Center, Lightning Strikes, and of course, Platinum Ford. Until next time, stay safe, stay healthy. God bless.
See you later.